Welcome to Reclaimed Heritage,
a place where we discuss traditional skills for the practical home.
We're your hosts, Christy,
Kari,
and Elaine.
Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4, 6, and 7.
You can only survive without water for about 3 days. So in today's episode, we'll be discussing different ways we can feel prepared when it comes to water security. How to calculate how much water you need, how to store it, and also how to filter your water to keep it a continuous supply of clean water for you and your family.
welcome back. And if you're new here, we're glad that you're joining us for the first time. This is Season 1, Episode 9. And today we're talking about all things water.
Yes.
I know. We've been a little anxious to get this podcast episode done. It's taken us a little longer to gather some information than we anticipated. But first, we had an awesome weekend this last weekend.
We did.
You've heard us talk about like 6 kids and not seeing each other and all of the crazy things. And Elaine's like, what's this weekend?
I was thinking, what did we do this weekend?
Right. Yeah, so we were in Kentucky at the Reformation Work Camp, and we got to meet a couple of our favorite podcasters, Brian and Lexi Souvet. You heard us mention their podcast in the first episode. They do Bright Hearth, which we all quickly became obsessed with and kind of kicked this off after listening to them. So what do you think? What was your favorite part?
Oh, wow. I wasn't prepared for that.
Okay, I love, this is going to sound really not pertinent, but the weather was
gorgeous.
Phenomenal. It was nice and warm, and the kids, we went as whole families.
The kids had a ball, yes.
I mean, my kids fell asleep every time we sat down to listen to them speak from playing outside with their best friends. And yeah, it was the same for me being there with my besties. It was good.
I mean, the teachings were phenomenal.
They were phenomenal.
I mean, the takeaway, in the car ride on the way home, we were talking about it, and consistently it was the first talk where he was focusing on living ordinary, normal Christian lives, and God works through the things that we do day in and day out. You know,
The simple life.
And it really, I mean, that goes right along with everything that we're doing here. So to start it off that way was fantastic.
The music was excellent. I really enjoyed some of the melodies were super familiar, but the words were different for me, and was such a blessing. Yeah.
I agree.
What was that one? I don't remember. That
women,
they added lyrics to? That
yes.
was so good.
Okay, I don't know which song it was,
like
but we were singing
it was
about
more
like
of a
women
man
being
song.
companions to their husbands and wisdom coming from their mouths when they're open and smiling. Like, it was excellent.
Yes.
So good.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, but everything, whether it was him talking or her talking to the women directly, really like confirmed everything that we're currently, like our agenda with Reclaimed Heritage and getting back into what's important and the simple life, like you were saying. So,
And not just here, but within our own homes. Yeah.
oh, absolutely.
For my husband, for my children. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I was writing something for a homeschool group that we're in. And I brought up like the Titus 2 women. And I hadn't shared this with you yet. Christy had to read it for me before I submitted it. But I was so excited to be there, and I loved it. And I loved everything she was saying. And there was a little part of me that was sad because we have these women who were asking these questions, and it was saddened to me that they didn't have like a community or like a friend that they could ask these questions to. And so I was thinking that is kind of what we're hoping to provide here with our podcast and our Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to just be like, we're giving you this information to be able to do these things better in your homes and not feel like you're ill-equipped or you don't know where to turn to or you're not sure where to find it.
And to feel encouraged, these are the important things. These are the simple things as well, but these are the important work that the Lord has before you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah.
Well, on to
It was
water.
excellent.
Wow.
We all need it.
Yeah.
We do.
We do. So, as many of you are well aware, we all live in Ohio. We're all fairly close proximity to Columbus, which if you have heard Ohio in the news lately, it's probably East Palestine. And on February 3rd, there was 38 cars of a Norfolk Southern freight train that was carrying vinyl chloride that derailed. They did a controlled explosion. It's contaminated air, water, soil.
It looks like a scene from a movie.
When
you see the video clips and the photographs, it's no joke.
No, and it isn't just us, which is the crazy thing. Like, I think we were potentially the first chemical disaster, but February seems to have kicked off a month of chemical plants burning and a large amount of train derailments and chemical spills. And so it isn't just us. We just happen to be the ones that got to kick it
I'm
off.
trying not to put on my aluminum foil hat right now.
Right. So if you've seen the pictures or watched anything on the news, you see like that lovely, oily, beautiful rainbow
That you normally see in
the
parking
water,
lots.
right?
Yeah.
The oil slicks. So this got us talking. We talk about so many different things, but we really haven't talked about water. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. I have zero water prepared. Like, even after doing the reading and preparing for this podcast, at this exact moment as we're filming, I got nothing.
Well, we're prepared for probably 2 days.
Yeah.
And then that's it. But the chickens are out of luck because I did not factor them into my water equations.
Yeah.
I'm a little more prepared than that. We're probably closer to a week, but not for livestock. I didn't consider livestock. Heath and I are discussing hooking up, some sort of implement off the barn roof so that there's rain, catching the rain and making sure we have a couple tanks out there that we can utilize if we need to.
Yeah. I think the thing that was interesting when I started digging into it was how many factors I hadn't thought of that this occurrence in East Palestine caused me to, like, what I thought would be my backup no longer was. So if for some reason, like for COVID, we couldn't just like go get water. Or there were, people were running out of, like, it was one of the things, like water, toilet paper, whatever you're running out of. And it was, well, that's not a big deal because we had a moving water source right behind our home. I know you do. Christy, you have a larger moving water source. You guys are too far from something.
Well, it's so close to, like, not in my backyard, but, a very large creek is, 2 miles down the road.
Right. But then this happens and you realize, well, that wouldn't be the water that you would be gathering.
Well, not just that. If you were evacuated, where are you taking... Is your water portable?
Right.
Because that's the one thing about storing water is it's heavy. So, do you have the means to transport it in a car? How are you going to provide for your family in that time?
Yep. The other one was, it depends on the season. If it's winter
and it's frozen,
your water sources are frozen. And for us, if it's like those first few weeks in August, it's regularly so dry or low that it wouldn't be effective either. It's not like I could just unload the animals to go drink from it. Like, it's too low and too deep for them to get to that source.
And sometimes you can't leave your house depending on if it's something you need to shelter in place. Like, even when the big Arctic blast that we had a little while ago, that was crazy, insane cold. You couldn't go out in that. My water preparation has been in the past. Every time there's going to be something, I hurry up and go get water.
Same. We do the same thing.
And this is not okay. So
You're
we
the
did
bread
go
and
get
milk
water.
people at the store.
I'm from New England, and every time you hear snow, it's, bread and milk and water. That's what you go to the store for. So, but if we didn't have water and we lost power, we're on a well. So if we lose power, although I have a well, it's not like what you see in little picture books where I can just go,
with your bucket.
With my bucket. I would have no water. So we knew we needed to have water at that time. Thankfully, we didn't lose power, but you just never know.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, and I was thinking of a story from a woman a few years ago. She lived in Ohio. They had a huge storm, and like their house was iced over. So it wasn't even like something dangerous and chemical outside of your home. It was that they couldn't open their doors. Like, they didn't have a way of thawing their house to get out. So it's just weird to think of all the different.
The Arctic blast we had, there were pictures in I think upstate New York, and I saw pictures where the ice was completely crawling up their home, they were completely blocked in. So it's not always chemical. It can be weather or a tornado.
Just one more way to be prepared.
It is. And then, so leading into the preparedness component, we do want to say, which, you know, if you listen to our cold open, it talks about not being fearful. This podcast is not meant to like make you fearful and prepare in that way as your motivation. It's really to take the fear out of it. Like that's our goal that we've been saying all along is if you are well prepared, it removes the fear from these things because you know that you're going to be as okay as you can be.
Well, and it also frees your husband up to do the important things that he's going to need to do when it is a way that his heart can trust you and that he's free then to move on to bigger other things that he knows you've taken care of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I looked it up, it talked about the needs, right? So they were saying like minimum of planning would be 1 gallon per person per day. And that was like 2 quarts of drinking water and 2 quarts for food prep and sanitation. I hadn't even thought about that. I was thinking of like, what is it you would need to prepare to drink? But when we talk about long-term food prep, a lot of that's dehydrated food sources. Or like flour and beans are your really awesome long food storages. But those require water in order to use. So you have to do that. And then the one that I felt like an absolute moron that never occurred to me was the wound care component. Like you can't go get, you know, water that is, if you're not drinking it, you're not cleaning wounds out with it. So, yeah,
So it puts you more like 2 gallons,
2
per
gallons
person.
per person per day.
Yep.
And that was the calculation. So you all can do it. I think we've done it for our families. So it's how many people are in your house times 2 gallons times how many days you'd like to prepare for. And the minimum I think we came across was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Typically.
Right.
So that for the Parks family, that's 196 gallons. And that's if I don't give any water to a cat, a chicken,
and that's
cows.
Like also, you know, baby wipe showers, like the new mom showers. Like that's not,
I know us, it's 252 gallons. And when I calculate, I'm thinking, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking like the milk jug style and going, where do you put it? Where?
300 milk jugs. And what was yours? Did you do yours?
I did, but I didn't write my grand total down here.
No.
I'm going to say it's probably a little more than yours because I did factor in dogs and chickens. I did not factor in the cattle.
Yeah.
That would be what I was thinking about. That would be my husband's.
Right. Right.
I've got everybody here, and I've got the egg layers.
Right. So. And it fluctuates a little based on the weather. Like if they were saying if it's really hot outside, you go through more water. I think we'd be that family who gives up the hygiene portion of your water for drinking water.
Yeah.
Well, I have some children that wouldn't have a problem with that.
They're practicing.
I volunteer, Mom. I won't bathe.
I can hear it now.
They're preparing for this already.
Like, well, for your podcast, let's see how long I get out without a shower.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So true.
Oh, wow. So speaking of not panicking, if we can talk a little bit about storage. I know when I started looking at storage and I'm thinking I have to purchase something, I had to go buy. But something I came across, and I know you looked at the same website, so you came across this too. There's things you can do like right now, probably this moment in your home. Yeah. And one of the things, I don't know why I never thought of this. So I have jars. I'm kind of a jar hoarder. Not only do I have mason jars, I have pickle jars and salsa jars and all sorts of jars because we always need them. You cannot fold these. You cannot stick them in each other. They don't store that
nestle,
way. Yeah. They don't nestle, exactly. So one of the things was just fill up all your jars with water. And leave them filled with water until you need the jar. Like, to me, that was brilliant. That's something I did immediately. So I do have some water right now.
Yeah.
Because you can do that right away. Or empty soda bottles was another one that you can do right away. Did you see that one where they stored those underneath their bed?
Yes. Well, because they were talking about, like, it was so interesting. A, I saw it for water, and B, I saw it today on a food prepping thing where you ideally want for both your water and your canned goods to be, like, out of sunlight, temperature, as temperature stable as possible. But it was interesting because one of my daughters, expounding my wisdom on water to them this last week. I said,
because you've been so wise for 1 week.
But like, we have 2 marrieds out of the house. We have another one who's well on her way, and they are living in small residences. So their ability to store and prepare isn't the same as ours. And I was saying, like, when we're doing the calculations of who we're preparing for, it really just needs to include all of our marrieds.
Oh, I did. I included mine in my...
Because that would be the ideal situation. If we're in something that is that big
I'm praying
of a
the Lord's
disaster,
mercies if that happens, then they can get home.
Same. But their spaces don't have this. So the thing is, not everybody has that, where they just have a larger home of somebody who's prepared to go to.
Or a basement, or a,
So it was interesting. They were talking about under beds, like nestled in like sock drawers, hidden in the like, if you have a Lazy Susan or a corner cabinet, you're not getting all the way back there. Like they're using these random spaces and all over their homes that I would never think of putting these canned goods or foods, or water. But yeah, you got to get creative when you need the space.
One of the things my mother-in-law always told me was to, if there was a storm or anything coming, to fill up the bathtubs with water in case our well, the electric goes out and then we don't have a well.
Right.
Because you can use the bucket to flush potties. So
smart.
Yeah.
I do know, and it wasn't in this, but from years ago, like they do recommend if you have a well, ironically, to know where it is, which ours was very well hidden. Like they didn't want anybody to be able to access it.
Mine is not well hidden.
Oh gosh.
You probably see it from the front yard.
Yeah, so find it, figure out how to open it. Ours requires like a special tool to open the top and see if there is a way to access it. Like some of them have like a pipe or a plastic piece on the top. Like if you can remove it, is it open enough that you could dip a bucket or something down into your well? Which
they actually have products. A lot of the Amish stores have them where you can pull your pump. I mean, that takes some work, and then you can insert this thing, and it's like a bunch of mini buckets, and then you pull it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Huh. So it's made to fit down.
I know. What
would they have it at Lehman's
for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas?
A water pumper upper.
Water puller upper. I love it.
Well, another thing that I found that I didn't realize was even out there was called a water bob. And it's like $35, but it fits inside your bathtub so that if you want to fill that with water, it would make it so that it was potable water.
Oh, that's awesome.
You could boil the bathtub water if you had to.
Yeah.
But if you could just fill this up.
Right. Okay. But boiling, which we saw some videos from some people up in East Palestine, boiling
does not remove
it doesn't. A lot of the stuff that they're trying to get out.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, that's better than nothing.
Well, in our house, it's coming through a whole reverse osmosis system. So, like, a little bit different for us where we are. But do you trust what they are saying?
Right, and it's electric dependent. That's the big thing. Like in my brain, it's always, if I'm at the place where like I'm desperately needing water, what are the odds we have electric? Because they kind of seem like they go hand in hand. Like that large of a disaster of any kind, man-made or natural, just feels like you're going to be like, I don't know, water just feels like the most basic thing. Like if we're down to, I don't have water, I probably have lost everything else.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about your options in storage because that's, financially, wow, you guys, they run the gamut. So my favorite one, of course, was filling the jars. Filling the jars. And like you said, that can be free. Save the jars, clean them out.
A good idea to have on hand, too, is bleach. Because you can add just a couple drops of bleach.
Yes. Okay, so we're not sharing with you that exact calculation because here's the deal. That calculation is so specific.
Yeah.
If you get it wrong, we wouldn't want anybody to cause themselves harm. And if you don't add enough, it's then still contaminated. But my plan is to like write on the inside of a laundry room cabinet something, these calculations for figuring out how to add bleach to this water when you need it. Keep in mind, and this was something I didn't know, bleach to use effectively in that manner when you buy it at the store. So a couple things. It can't be concentrated It can't be the drip free or the splash free or the scented. It has to be straight up bleach, and it is only good for 6 months. So that's one of those things that set a timer, like when you change your batteries, when you set your clocks forward or backwards, buy a container of bleach and chuck your old one or do something with it, because your 5-year-old gallon of bleach is sitting downstairs by your water when you need it. It's going to be.
So I did find these water storage cubes that were, they were, I think, let's see here, 5.3 gallons. They were collapsible. So for storage, you're not using them. They had a spigot on them as well. And this was an 8-pack for $100, which I thought was fantastic.
That's awesome.
And one was $13. So we are actually buying an 8-pack to get us started. Is that what they're
called, water storage cubes? I've seen the bricks, but the bricks
these are called water
really
storage
expensive.
Cubes.
Are they blue?
These are clear. The ones that I found are clear.
Okay. I've seen the blue bricks, and those are awesome.
I think those were a little bit, those were more money.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find it after.
Yeah,
we'll let you
look. So the other one was, while she's looking this up, we talked about mason jars being really easy. The other one that was really shocking to me is, like, we talked about how we go out to the store and we buy, they look like a milk jug container filled with water. This is not what you want.
No.
This isn't what, like, it is what I buy thinking, you know, if we have a storm, it'll get me through a week. That's true. But long-term storage, they're very poor. We're not talking about the plastic leaching into the water pour. We're talking about the container just leaks. You're going to come in and find water on your floor.
Yeah.
They break down very fast. They're not meant for long storage. So of all of the options that you're thinking, that's the lowest of the low. We do not recommend that. If you don't have a filter, though, you could purchase that water and move it into something else.
Okay, it's a little bit heavier duty as the 2 to 3 gallon ones that Walmart will sell that you can get. That's a little bit heavier duty plastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is literally called water storage cube, which is why I wrote water storage cube.
Water storage cube.
It's water storage cube store, and that's them right there. And in the show notes. And we will put those in the show notes for you. Yeah. But these were great. They're for survival, camping. I mean, they're free of the, BPA free, etc. So, and this is a very economical way to get some beginning storage, and they're portable. That's the thing. We talked about if you need to evacuate, then you can pick these up. I was looking at those really like 50 gallon,
the 55 gallon drums.
I mean, that's great. I think especially for having livestock. But if you needed to go somewhere. You can't take that with you. That's staying behind.
And those 55 gallons, they have 55 and 45. You've seen them everywhere. They're the blue gallons. Most of them are, you can buy them used. We've done this at Rural King. You can get them used, but I'm just telling you what they store in it is not what you would want to drink after.
Right.
There are websites you can go to that will tell you how to clean them. It is quite a process. It is doable, but like financially speaking, if you are trying to store for livestock, that probably is your most economical way of doing it. I don't know that we would... What I'm willing to give my livestock for water is not exactly the same as for us. So clean, great, not necessarily my preference. But new, they are expensive. But the other thing you have to think about that a lot of people don't is how do you get the water out? They don't come with spigots. You have to buy an attachment to get the water out. And like you said, they're definitely not portable. You're not taking that 55 gallon jug with you.
Well, and it's not even something you're moving. You're going to pick a spot, and that's going to be it.
Right.
Yeah. But on the frugal side, the other one that we wanted to mention, which we were talking about plastic, so not the milk jug looking containers, but we've all gotten water bottles, and you have the ones where like you can, gosh, you can, just saying it's my kids. All I can think of is every child at every party, like they're squeezing the plastic, and you're like, make it stop. If that's what you can do to the water bottle, that's not what you want. You want. There are some companies that you know what we're talking about when you feel it. The plastic is really thick. They were saying 2-liter pop bottles. Your juice, like if you're buying a gallon of juice at Walmart or something, that's a very thick plastic. And I know Costco sells like a 6-pack of gallon, like 6 gallons of water. And it's in the one that like there's a handle on the top. That is a super thick plastic. That's the kind of plastic we're talking about. So for free, if you drink pop or you're juice drinkers or your kids are, getting the soda from those vending machines, they're saying like rinse those out really well, let them dry and fill them with filtered water. And those are perfectly fine. They're Yes, you guys, please don't message us. We know that plastic leaches into water. We're not recommending this as like your day to day, but in an emergency,
Yes.
I would joyfully give my children plastic laced water. So,
as opposed to
nothing.
No water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're buying those, and rotate through them. It's when things sit for a very, very long time that even occurs.
Yep.
So just rotate
Which
through
is
your water.
part of my preparedness is the water bottles from Costco, even though they're not. But if we had a week
And they're portable.
and they're portable,
They
you know, and we drink them on the regular, like if we go to a conference or do something like that,
Yes.
because we're not losing our nice water bottles.
Yeah, so it is suggested. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Really?
right? So, just saying,
the
I'm
real
keeping it real.
deal.
Listen,
That was not a Yeti you just lost.
like every household, I have like twice as many lids for the amount of water bottles
course,
that we
yes.
have. So. But it is suggested to like replace or rotate every 6 months to a year. So just keep it in order.
Yep.
Use it as you go. And like we mentioned before, you never want to use a container for water that didn't previously have something in it that you would want to consume.
Food grade. Yep.
Food grade or whatever. But so then moving on to filtration. It is really important. I would have not thought really much about should I filter it or shouldn't I filter it. But after doing some reading, I'm firmly in the filter before you fill,
Yes.
in case you can't filter when you need it.
Yes.
So I think
Okay.
maybe the difference would be what you're filtering. Okay, so
Right.
if you're doing it straight out of your tap, it is safe. It has been filtered through the city. That we're not sure exactly. This is what they're running into the East Palestine.
Right.
We're not sure how effectively like your city's water system is filtering that out. But I would say exactly the same for my well. I'm not sure
Right.
that the substrates that my water goes through that enters my well is going to filter out vinyl chloride.
Right.
Well, I was thinking more on the before there's an act. So if you're just preparing water, and there hasn't been a train derailment, spilling stuff into the water, versus there already has been.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's probably whatever your preference is. Mine would. Okay, I don't want to say I'm a space case or a basket case, but like I'm thinking I'd be a little panicky if we were at the place where there was no water, and probably remembering to filter, thinking about filter wouldn't.
Well, they have like the
great for
life
me.
straw. I was looking.
Yes.
They have like the life straw, and they have the Grail brands to where it's like a personal water bottle with the filter in it. Those would be something that would be a good idea to like have in your
Yes.
car, to where if it isn't filtered,
Right.
or if you're wondering the age or whatever,
Right.
then you just filter that as you go.
Right. So it's both. You could
Yeah.
you could filter your long-term storage
Right. I mean, you can
before
use
you
those
store
at
it or
home
after.
if you had to, but I was thinking more like portable.
Right.
Yeah, there was a, what did I write it on? And we'll link it in the show notes, waterfilterguru.com. And you can find it. They have 9 best emergency water filters for survival as of this month. I think they like re-upped it and did a whole big thing on it because of what was happening. So
It's
they
the
go
new
through...
hot topic.
Yeah, they have everything, like they have the Portawell, which needs electricity, but like it can do huge amounts of filtered water in a short amount of time. The Berkey, which we're going to talk a little bit more in depth. I think you were talking about the water bottle filter. They do, it's called the Epic Nalgene OG, and that one, that's on our short list. I want to get 1 or 2. I'm thinking actually 2 for each person. That way, if you're on the go and you're finding whatever you can find to filter it out, that would be my best bet. But now, Elaine, you guys use you have the Berkey filters.
But not the Berkey
But
unit.
not the actual Berkey unit. It is on our very short list. I think tax return season this year, we're going to get the Berkey.
Well, they are pricey.
Yeah.
And my husband made us a filter. What do you call it? We have the filters. What's the thing? What do you call it?
The metal dispenser.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So he took food grade 5-gallon buckets, and you can mimic the same system with 2 on top of each other with some holes in the filters coming through. So that's how we filter ours, and then we take that water and put it in a glass dispenser or whatever. So it is a very affordable way if you don't have the 5, 6, I don't know what they're going for right now. Is it like 500?
Yeah, the smaller ones are a little
like
less than
the
that.
larger ones. We need a larger one.
Yeah.
But it's actually what my husband brought. He went to Myanmar and brought these systems there and showed the people there how to do that. And they were amazed when they had orange water that they could not drink out of. They were purchasing all their water, and they don't have a lot of money. These are just small villages. Showed them how to make these units, and to have crystal clear water afterwards was just amazing to see that. So there is a way you can do it if you don't have the upfront costs and you just want to buy the filters.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we're going to do one of those in our camper.
Oh, yeah, that's
Because if we had to evacuate, that would be something we would take, and then we would just have it in there as well.
Right.
We're in the weird position. We have a reverse osmosis system in our home. So, and to be clear, we looked this up. So anything that has the carbon filter, which is the Berkey,
Or
something like that,
osmosis, yeah.
or reverse osmosis, those will remove things like vinyl chloride. Those are kind of like your top tier filters, the carbon filter or reverse osmosis. The dilemma is, okay, so our water is super clean. I never worry about it being contaminated. But the reverse osmosis, if you're looking for a long-term filtering system, removes everything. So it also removes all of the good minerals out of your water, which I will tell you, after having been where we are as long as we have, we are seeing the side effects, which are severe, of depleted minerals. So we have reverse osmosis. We will be getting a Berkey because it will filter out all the yuck, keep in all the minerals. So if you're listening to us and this is something that your family has been discussing, even if it's just you want to know that your everyday water, whether disaster or not, but the everyday water you're drinking is healthy, just keep that in mind when you're looking at whole house systems, that the reverse osmosis is awesome.
Yes.
It is clean, and the water, taste-wise, is my favorite.
Yes.
Like, it is so good, but it does take out all the good stuff. So
my husband grew up doing the well water, and I tease that he has to like chew his water because the iron content is so high. But he's also like super healthy. So yeah, there's something
all
to
those
that.
Minerals.
yeah, it is. I wish I could do it. I need the iron.
Same. I can't do it.
I know.
I don't want to chew my water.
I was talking to my daughter about this yesterday, talking about what we were preparing for today, and she has the RO system as well. And she grew up with us having the Berkey filters, and she's like, Mom, I just like the RO better. The Berkey, it always just tasted like water that was sitting. And I'm like, honey, it's because it's water that's sitting. She's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's everything. So we definitely want you guys to check out the links in here. There's some awesome information. And like we said, there is a wide variety of, based on your financial capability, what you want to store. We really didn't get into a lot of livestock, but it's harder.
It is. Do what you can where you are. That's really, I guess, what we're trying to say too. Like, please don't let this overwhelm you or make you feel like you're behind or needing to, get all the water.
No, and anything you do today is more than you did yesterday.
Yes,
so just keep trucking along.
Yep.
Don't panic.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. Don't let us fool you thinking that we're like
got it together and
and totally prepared. Our goal is to just continue to work
towards that
goal.
Yeah.
So join us in working towards the goal. And if you guys have awesome water systems or storage systems or things that have worked for you that we are missing, please share them with us on our Instagram or Facebook, YouTube. We're always desperate to find what's working, what works the best, what's the most affordable. And we are by no means the experts on this topic. So we would love to hear from you guys on what you're doing for your family.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today,
and subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah.
We'd love for you to follow along with us.
Yeah, subscribe, and we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We love reading your comments. You guys are
and
very
reviews.
sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
They make us happy.
Yes.
No, it really does.
Oh, yes.
Your daughter sent one out that someone said the other day, and it made my day, because when you're you're doing all this research, you're doing things day in and day out, you're just talking to a microphone. you don't really know if it's being received or if it's making an
Right.
impact. So
Yeah.
to hear that really does make it all worth it. And then you're ready to dig into more books and
It
more
does.
websites.
Yeah. So thanks for the encouragement, you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.